A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Natalie Arsenault, the president of Arsenault International Consulting, Raul Ramos, associate professor of history at the University of Houston, and Frank Billingsley, co-host of Hello Houston, weekdays at 11 on News 88.7. Natalie, Raul, Frank, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you, Greg.
Panel, Houston Sports Talk 790 host Chris Gordy took to X last weekend to call out some Astros fans for, well, we'll charitably call it economic ingenuity. See, last Saturday was Josh Hader bobblehead day at Dyken Park. The first 2,000 fans were to receive the giveaway. Gordy, however, observed Astros bobblehead hoarders, he said, were getting out of hand. He noted watching an older family of 5 enter Dyken Park, get their Hader bobblehead, then exit, come back in, and get more bobbleheads. He says they handed them off to someone stuffing them into bags. While there's no re-entry into the ballpark, if fans purchase additional tickets, they can get back in. And since the bobbleheads sell on eBay for a lot more than the cheapest seats at the park, well, now you can see this is capitalism at work. As Gordy notes, it cheats other fans, some of them kids, from getting any bobbleheads. He writes, "How much of a loser do you have to be to do this?" At last check, several of the bobbleheads were being offered on eBay for prices ranging from $40 to $75. A local radio host admonishes Astros fans who are hoarding bobbleheads to resell on eBay. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Raul Ramos, start us off.
Well, look, I have kids. I have 2 boys, and I remember they get very excited when there's bobblehead day or there's any kind of giveaway at the Astros games. And I think we learned early on, after a few times when we take them and we'd show up maybe 10 minutes before the game starts and there are none to be found. And you're like, okay, I guess the deal is we need to show up a little bit earlier. And so on days where there were giveaways, we got our act together and managed to get one. In fact, I have one of them right here in front of me right now. It's the Reed and Nolan Ryan dual bobblehead from a few years back. And the kids love them, and they're nice to have. That being said, yes, it's very frustrating as a parent when you can't get one of those for your kids. They do leave bummed out. You know, people are exploiting this, and they're exploiting it because I think there's a little bit of the nature of baseball is unique in this case because it does have a culture of collecting and of selling on a secondary market baseball cards, for instance. Having a rookie baseball card of a player who becomes a Hall of Famer becomes very valuable, especially if you can get it signed, right? A signed one of these rookie cards is like gold, especially if it's mint condition, especially if it's still in its wrapper and all of this. And if I'm not mistaken, eBay started because of collectors selling, I don't know whether it was Beanie Babies or something like that, that spurred an entire industry where people now make their livelihoods on eBay. This is capitalism. Look, we know baseball is tied to capitalism. We see it because I'm learning what Dyken is this year, and I'd never heard of it before. And now I have to stop calling it Minute Maid. And before that, there was Enron, and we know that's about capitalism. You can't take it out of the game. It's part of the tradition. And this is just annoying, but it is ugly. It's ugly for the kids. So I feel for them, and maybe they need to just make, again, it's a supply and demand issue. Just increase the supply, and we'll all be happy. And it won't be as valuable anymore.
All right, good, bad, or ugly, Natalie Arsenault.
So I'm torn. I'm also very much so in a non-judgmental mood, which is rare. So I'm not feeling very judgy today. I have a couple of takes. One is that we don't really know. What if the family of 5 was coming back through because they have 5 other kids at home and they couldn't afford for the other kids to come, but they wanted to there's all kinds of reasons why people do what they do. We also know that people hoard toilet paper. So, come on, it's a thing. The pendulum swings far and wide. But I agree. Baseball is kind of built in the capitalistic way, everything from how the players get paid to the merchandising. And to Raul's point, you could mitigate this by simply creating more supply, which would then obviously make it less profitable or to try to resell these things because there's more on the market at that point in time. So that's also a capitalistic kind of approach as well. I do think I can see the frustration in parents. You buy this ticket, you're bringing your kids, you're trying to create memories, you get there and there's nothing there. But the lesson, I guess, is the early bird gets the worm, maybe?
Okay, good, bad, or ugly. Frank Billingsley.
Oh, I see this as bobble trouble. Makes my own head wobble. It's all three. It's good in that it speaks to the popularity of the Astros. We have a team that everybody wants collecting, so that's good. It's bad because some of these kids get left out when there aren't enough bobbleheads to go around. And it's ugly because it's greedy. It's just greedy. And I respect that there might be 10 more kids at home or whatever, but the kids that are seeing this as an example, I think it's the wrong example. I think you figure out a way for everyone to share the bobbleheads if that's really what's going on. But this way to make a living, a door prize, basically, it's a little sketchy to me.
People line up for different treats at McDonald's, for instance, wanting to get all of the different Happy Meal toys.
But shouldn't they just be able to go through once? Right. Shouldn't there be a way that you've come through once, you don't get to go through twice and maybe a third time?
You think with technology these days, they would know that. Maybe they already biometrically know who's been there. So,
and this is why I'm not afraid of AI, because humans always outsmart the technology. We find ways. You're like, oh, your email address, then we create 10 emails. Or, there's this barcode, we create new barcode.
Is it a good lesson for the kids? We don't know the family of five or the people of five. I don't know how they were. But is it a good lesson to say, here's what we're going to do?
Yes.
We're going to get those bobbleheads. We're going to go in there on a cheap ticket, and we're going to stash them away. We're going to put them on eBay and make some money. And you're like, what about keeping them? Nope, we're not keeping them. We're going to sell them.
Right.
Now, maybe, as you say, maybe there was a legitimate reason that they needed to. Maybe they were raising money themselves for church. That's
could
possible.
be. You never know.
You never know.
Or it could just be pure greed and capitalism, to which point maybe this will spark the next industrialist entrepreneur who creates something great, all from this bobblehead.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's good, bad, and ugly. It's all categories.
It's turning tragedy into opportunity, right? They walk away knowing they can create the next eBay platform, Bobble Bay, or whatever you want to call it.
Panel, some love autonomous vehicles, some don't. My guess is Becky Levin Navarro's moved from the former to the latter category. She was in Austin making use of one of Waymo's self-driving vehicles when that vehicle stopped driving. As she shared on the socials, the driverless taxi came to a sudden stop underneath an expressway at the merge of two lanes while she and other passengers were locked inside. As other cars and trucks whizzed past them, the group contacted Waymo customer support and were informed there was no way to move the car remotely. So they asked if the company could unlock the doors. They were told not without a precise address. As the Cron's Ariana Garcia reported Monday, when Navarro threatened to go live on TikTok, the car unlocked. And after the group walked some distance away from the vehicle, it suddenly roared back to life and drove past them. Navarro ultimately posted clips of the incident online saying, quote, 0 stars for Waymo. Waymo spokesperson Chris Bonelli, though, tells the Cron the passengers themselves pressed a pull-over button and could have exited at any time by pulling the handle twice, once to unlock and another time to open the door. He says the company's rider support team did not remotely unlock the door for them. A driverless vehicle in Austin stops driving and locks its passengers in for more than 5 minutes, or maybe they just did that to themselves. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Natalie.
Okay, so this is probably some form of one of the many thousands of biases that people have, but I in no way want a driverless car. So when I saw this, I was like, see, this is why we don't need driverless cars. I think if you entered into like, hey, we're going to use this driverless car, I think first of all, you're accepting some of the inherent risks of being in a driverless vehicle. I also think you should take time, and maybe it's something they can add to the platform, I don't know, where they actually explain, kind of like when you get on the plane, they tell you all the safety features, here's how you exit, here's your safety device, all the things. Maybe there needs to be something like that with the vehicle so that people acknowledge the fact that they know how to open the door, unlock the door, roll down the window, all those things, right? Again, I'm in a non-judgy place right now, so I don't know, good, bad, or ugly. It's probably a bit of, I don't know if anything about this is really good other than the lesson learned for the folks involved. But I think it's probably a mix of all of them simply because, Waymo is getting bad press over this. Well, I guess it's good for the TikTokers because they probably got a couple of extra views and some viral attention now. So that's the good part for them. And I think it's ugly because it brings up a lot of concerns for me with the driverless vehicles. And I know people always say, oh, that's a 1 in 1,000 trillion chance of things like this happening. But I do with, the ability to keep my vehicle from being hacked, even if it's some teenager who wants to play a stupid game on somebody and they hack your vehicle and then they're driving you off course of where you don't want to go and you're locked in or whatever the case may be. So I think there's some things that we still need to work out with the driverless vehicle situation. We're not there yet, and anyone who gets in one should understand all of the inherent risks they are getting ready to take by getting in the vehicle.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Frank?
I tell you what, you have very good points because it's, to me, scary. I mean, I think it's bad. I don't know if I ordered a ride share and it showed up driverless, I wouldn't get in it. And so many things can go wrong. I mean, this was just inconvenient. I find it hard to believe that if this stopped on the road, people weren't trying to get out of it, not just once and then twice, but 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, get me out of this car. And apparently that didn't work. Now, imagine if you're on a date and you're a driverless car and it stops somewhere and one of you wants out of that car and can't get out of that car. That could be a really serious, ugly situation. So whatever company this is, they have a lot to fix.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Raul?
Well, taking a clue from you, Frank, I'm going to say the oh no Waymo situation here is
And way more trouble.
way more trouble than I think we're asking for. I'm going to take a contrarian view on this, and I'm going to take the side of Waymo here for a second and put it in terms of how our society is changing, whether we're open to change, how we engage change, the challenges with change. Look, think about it. The number one conversation in Houston pet peeves is traffic and driving in Houston by a factor of 200, right? That's all anybody wants to talk about. And so here we have an opportunity to spend fewer resources on automobiles, on roads, on 2-car garages in every house, on repairs. I feel like we're in a time where we're starting to see hidden taxes everywhere, and we pay so many hidden taxes by individual car ownership that we often don't calculate between insurance and getting cars for your kids and being worried about your kids out on the road. I think there's an opportunity here, and there's a transition time in any technology. We're experiencing that, and I think there'll be times to take advantage of that. I feel we should be transparent about it. I'm pretty sure that Waymo has video of the people inside the car that can just tell you what's happening, and they're either not showing it or letting it blow over or whatever. I also know that I was talking to my friend Ed, who lives in San Francisco, and lives in a neighborhood that has Waymos all over, and he's been taking them, and he actually is satisfied. He's been in a situation when I described him what happened where the car sort of stopped and it wouldn't turn left because there were too many pedestrians, and it just was sitting there for minutes. And eventually they did get out because they're like, well, we're not getting anywhere. But he felt the car was making the safe choice by not threatening pedestrians and not putting the passengers in danger with oncoming cars and so forth. And part of that is because the Waymo inside has a lot of screens that are showing you what the data that it's receiving through all its different scans and radars and so forth. And so he felt comforted that it made the least risky choice. And, to be honest, I think there's a part of this where we are unsure about trust when we don't see a person there. But I can tell you a long list of people who complain about their Lyft driver or their Uber driver or the neighbor's kid driver. There's trust there. Hopefully my driver is sober. That's a real concern. We don't give them a sobriety check every time we get in the car. We just trust that it'll work. I think what we are is at the bottom of that trust arc. And maybe the question is, what is it going to take to build trust? Is it a question of just time? Is it a question of needing more experience, more kind of input for us? Maybe we need a robot person sitting there that has like an animatronic face.
I wonder what Uber and Lyft drivers think about driverless cars. Remember the taxi drivers that did not want rideshare and protested vehemently in some cities against it, but it came anyway. And I suspect if I made my living driving a rideshare and now driverless cars are coming, that's like not needing a counter person at McDonald's. And that's happening too.
Yeah.
So this whole automation and AI, we may just have to get used to it. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, and the other thing too, though, I'm not sure that it's going to necessarily remove cost, right? Because the only thing that's going to happen is the cost is just going to transfer. You don't own the vehicle, someone else owns the vehicle, but do trust that they're going to pass those costs along to you because no business is going to absorb their own operational costs. That defeats the purpose. So that's one thing. But the other thing too, you mentioned that the car that your friend was in. And I agree. Glad that the driverless vehicle saw the pedestrians, thought that it was too much. But can you imagine in New York City trying to get through at 4 and 5 o'clock pedestrian traffic on Fifth Avenue or Madison or anything? Like, you would never get through. But with a human driver, they kind of inch their way forward through the thing, don't run over people, hopefully, thankfully. And then they continue on across their thing. But with a driverless car, again, so it's neat. We're going to get there, whether I want it or not. And it's odd as a person who does digital transformation. I'm like, no. But we'll get there after we have more experiences and all that. But there's a long road to go because the human element of being able to assess the situation and analyze risk is a lot different than what an algorithm, no matter how well trained it is going to be able to kind of handle. So I don't know if we'll ever get rid of the people part of, and I certainly hope not, even if they're just as passengers helping the driverless cars drive or something. I don't know. But I think we have a long road to go, and we are, to your point, Raul, at the bottom of the trust.
Yeah. Who's gonna drive the flying cars?
That's what I thought we were going to be in, right? The Jetsons, I feel so lied to from the Jetsons.
Yeah,
when I watched the Jetsons, I was like, we're going to be flying.
Yeah, I want my jetpack. I want to be able to just jump in the air and fly around.
I do. Right.
Natalie Arsenault is the president of Arsenault International Consulting. Raul Ramos is an associate professor of history at the University of Houston. And Frank Billingsley co-hosts Hello Houston weekdays from 11 to 1 here on News 88.7. Natalie, Raul, Frank, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.